The crash wasn't heroic. It was messy, loud, and smelled faintly of burnt wires and shame. 1 second I was bragging to Mission Control about how smooth my piloting skills were, the next I was praying to the gods of duct tape as my shuttle dug a crater into a planet that clearly didn't want visitors. When the dust settled, I was alive, seatbelt-shaped bruises blooming on my chest and a strange feeling that the insurance premium back home was about to hit record-breaking numbers. Humanity's great ambassador to the stars. Me, sweating through my undershirt and cursing at a stubborn safety buckle. I stumbled out, coughing, trying to get my bearings. The landscape was eerie, lit by 2 oversized red moons that looked like God had dropped a pair of angry Christmas ornaments in the sky. I half expected Dracula to pop out. Instead, I got something worse, an entire pack of alien werewolves, glaring at me like I was the entree. Towering figures with silver hides that shimmered under the crimson glow, fangs flashing, claws tapping like impatient drummers. And at their center, the princess. I didn't know she was royalty yet, but the way the others deferred to her was obvious. Tall, fierce, draped in strange bone and crystal ornaments, and with eyes that glowed molten gold. Her presence screamed power. And I screamed, something else. Mostly, I screamed inside, because my survival instincts were telling me she was seconds away from making a chew toy out of me. Out loud, I did the only thing I knew how to do, crack a joke. Do you bite on the first date, or should I buy you dinner first? The pack bristled, low growls rippling like thunder. But the princess tilted her head, ears twitching, as if processing my words. My sarcasm, filtered through whatever psychic translator they were using, must have sounded like a ritual command. Because instead of tearing me apart, she sniffed the air, narrowed her eyes, and stepped closer. The ground shook with each padded stride. My heart tried to escape through my throat. She leaned in, close enough that her breath, hot and sharp like cinnamon and blood, fogged my visor. Then she howled. It wasn't just a sound. It was a vibration that rattled the marrow in my bones, a frequency that seemed to thread itself into my nervous system. And she howled my name, well, the alien equivalent of my name, mangled into something that sounded like a blender choking on gravel. The effect was instant. The entire pack dropped to their knees. Dozens of snarling warriors bowed as if gravity had doubled. Their muzzles touched the dirt, their spines curved, and every one of them stared at me like I'd just ascended to godhood. I blinked. Is this the part where I tip, or? Nobody laughed. Except the princess, who let out a pleased rumble that definitely wasn't a giggle but close enough. My brain scrambled to understand. They weren't bowing to her. They were bowing to me. All because she'd howled my name. My sarcasm, my dumb little defense mechanism, had triggered something profound. A bond? A contract? An intergalactic marriage license? Whatever it was, I was apparently their alpha now. Alpha with a capital A, judging by the reverent way they pressed their faces to the ground. Okay, everyone's down on their knees already, I muttered, because I couldn't resist. Normally that takes me at least 2 dates and a bottle of wine. The translator caught that, and I swear half the pack shivered like I'd issued some holy command. The princess's eyes lit brighter, tail twitching, her chest rising with something that looked suspiciously like pride. My words, my tone, my awkward earthling humor, they thought it was dominance. That howl hadn't just been a sound. It was a claim. She had called me hers. And by alien wolf law, that made me alpha of her entire people. I tried to protest. Look, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm just a guy. I make microwave dinners and forget my laundry in the washer for 3 days. I can't lead an army of space werewolves. But they didn't hear protest. They heard command. The princess bowed her head to me, exposing her throat in a gesture that made my knees weak for more than one reason. The rest of the pack mirrored her. 100 predators offering their submission to the one idiot who couldn't even keep houseplants alive. I wanted to laugh, cry, and pass out all at once. Instead, I mumbled, "Guess I'm the top dog now." The translator spat out some reverberating alien equivalent, and the pack roared approval, pounding fists and claws into the ground. My offhand joke had just become a decree. Fantastic. Humanity's first step into galactic diplomacy, and I was winging it with dad jokes and sexual innuendos. The princess stood tall again, close enough that her shadow swallowed me whole. She studied me, her golden eyes gleaming with curiosity and, dare I say, affection. Or hunger. Hard to tell with wolves. She reached out, claws sharp but careful, and brushed my chest as if confirming I was real. My heart stuttered. Her lips curled into something between a smirk and a snarl, and I swear my brain short-circuited. She spoke in a guttural growl, the translator chirping in my ear, mine. I froze. The pack howled agreement, the sound echoing across the red moons, shaking the ground, rattling my bones. I tried to correct her, tried to explain property rights and human individuality, but the translator was too slow. By the time I opened my mouth, the pack was already chanting, their voices weaving into a chorus. Alpha. 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 Every syllable pressed into me like a weight I couldn't shrug off. This wasn't a first contact. This was a coronation. And all I had done was crack a bad date joke. I forced a smile, because if I didn't laugh, I'd cry. Well, I said, my voice shaking, at least I don't have to worry about being lonely on this planet. The princess leaned closer, her grin feral, and whispered something the translator turned into, "No, Alpha. You will never be lonely again." And judging by the way the pack growled approval, I realized she wasn't making a promise. She was issuing a threat. Being Alpha wasn't glamorous. It was exhausting. 10 minutes into my reign, I realized I wasn't a king, I was a babysitter for 100 muscle-bound canines who thought every human tick was divine revelation. When I scratched my ass, they gasped like I'd unveiled a holy dance. When I burped, they cheered. When I sneezed, 3 warriors tried to bottle it in crystal jars. The princess was the worst offender. She stalked me like a shadow, watching my every move as though I might sprout wings and spit fire. I bent down to tie my bootlace, she gasped, mimicked the gesture, and the entire pack dropped to their knees to copy her. Suddenly, everyone was tying imaginary boots. Some even tied their tails together and tripped into a pile. I groaned. Congratulations, you've invented slapstick. The translator turned it into, the Alpha has blessed us with sacred combat training. Every mundane thing I did became legend. Drinking from my canteen? Ritual purification. Checking my wristwatch? Mysterious time prophecy. Accidentally farting in the suit? A thunderous war omen. The princess leaned in after that one, whispered something guttural, and the translator cooed, "Your power scent marks the battlefield." I almost suffocated on my own laugh. Lady, where I come from, that's just Taco Bell. Food was another nightmare. They offered me slabs of raw alien meat that looked like it had been ripped straight from a dragon's armpit. I declined politely. The princess frowned, so I tried explaining hamburgers. The translator twisted it into, he demands sacred meat pressed flat, burned in fire, and blessed with seed sauce. The pack immediately started slapping meat against rocks, trying to cook it with friction. The smell alone could have murdered a skunk. When I told them I preferred medium rare, the princess growled, "The Alpha requires blood in his feast." Truly, he is one of us. Romance, if you could call it that, was even more confusing. The princess insisted we were bonded, and apparently that was permanent. I tried explaining Earth dating culture, the whole idea of taking it slow, watching Netflix, maybe holding hands. She tilted her head like I'd recited quantum mechanics backward. The translator butchered my words. The Alpha demands a ritual of slow-burning mating while consuming sacred offerings from glowing boxes. The pack cheered like I'd proposed the orgy of the millennium. I buried my face in my palms. No, not like that. I just mean, dinner and a movie. The device spat out, the Alpha commands dinner and multiple mates. Now the warriors were fighting over who got to cook and who got to kneel. She tried romance her way, and I'll admit, it was memorable. One night, she brought me a gift, half of some massive alien cow, still twitching. dropped it at my feet like a bouquet. "This is love," the translator croaked. I thanked her nervously and tried to explain that humans prefer chocolates and flowers. Somehow, flowers got mistranslated as flowers. By dawn, I was buried waist-deep in sacks of alien baking powder while the pack chanted hymns about my sweet, fertile dough. If humiliation was an Olympic sport, I'd just won gold. But here's the thing, humans adapt. We don't always adapt well, but we fake it until it looks intentional. I started leaning into their misunderstandings, using them as cover. When a warrior demanded proof of my strength, I challenged him to arm wrestling, only to lose instantly. Instead of shame, the princess barked, "See how merciful he is. He gifts us victory to inspire confidence." I nodded sagely like I'd planned it. My ringtone was the worst accident yet. I'd forgotten my phone had battery left. It went off in my pocket, some cheesy pop song from a playlist. The wolves froze, ears twitching, then dropped to their knees. The princess whispered reverently, "The alpha sings to the moons." I tried to stop it, but the chorus blared out. Suddenly, the entire pack was howling along in perfect harmony. Even the princess joined, howling my ringtone like it was a hymn. When it ended, they stared at me with starry eyes. I said. "Yeah. That was rehearsal." Romantic tension only grew. The princess was terrifyingly earnest, fiercely protective, and far too literal. When I joked about wanting space, she dragged me into a cave, lit incense, and declared, "I have given you space. Now we mate." I choked so hard I almost died. When I muttered we should take it slow, she hauled me onto her back and sprinted across the plains at supersonic speeds. "Slow!" I screamed. The translator spat out, "Faster!" She howled triumphantly and ran harder. My cheeks flapped like a parachute. The pack's gossip didn't help. They whispered about my earthly stamina and exotic powers. One warrior swore he saw me sneeze fire. Another claimed my flatulence was a sacred wind that cleared bad omens. The princess herself declared that my clumsy attempts at singing were actually the mating hymn of alphas, and now every time I coughed, the pack begged me to sing more. I tried belting out a random Earth song just to humor them. They howled so loudly, I thought the moons would crack. At night, when the pack slept, the princess sat close, watching me with a gaze equal parts hunger and curiosity. She asked questions through the translator. About Earth. About humans. About me. Every time I tried to explain, my words twisted into myth. I told her about Netflix. It became, the Alpha commands sacred visions inside the Black Mirror. I told her about my old apartment. It became, the Alpha ruled a palace in the sky, suspended by wires of lightning. I told her about coffee. It became, he drank liquid lightning every dawn, proof of his eternal vigilance. I should have corrected her. Instead, I let it snowball. Because in her eyes, I wasn't just a stranded idiot fumbling with translation, I was legend. And the more they believed, the less likely they were to kill me. So I leaned back, sighed, and muttered, "Yeah, I guess humans really are special." The translator boomed it out like a prophecy. The pack howled approval. The princess leaned against me, warm and heavy, her breath brushing my ear. "Yes, Alpha. Very special." And for the first time since crashing, I realized I might survive this. If I didn't die of embarrassment first. Being Alpha apparently came with fine print. I didn't see it, but I felt it when a rival strutted into camp, muscles bulging like overinflated balloons, snarling that he deserved to lead. The princess bristled, her claws flexing, but all eyes turned to me. Tradition demanded a duel. Problem was, I couldn't fight my way out of a pillow fort. The rival lunged forward, chest puffed, teeth bared, and declared something guttural the translator spat out as, "I challenge your seed for dominance." I gagged. "Buddy, I'm flattered, but buy me a drink first." The pack gasped. To them, my sarcasm was a calm acceptance of the challenge. The princess's tail lashed as if daring me to prove my worth. I had to think fast. Fists weren't my weapon. Brains were. Well, brains and dumb games. Fine, I said, raising my hand. We'll settle this the Earth way. The rival snarled. The princess tilted her head. The pack leaned forward. I held out a fist. Rock, paper, scissors. The translator buzzed uncertainly, then declared, "The Alpha invokes the trial of the three sacred weapons." The wolves howled approval. My opponent blinked, clearly confused, but mimicked my motions when I demonstrated. We counted down. He chose rock. I chose paper. I slapped my hand over his fist and grinned. Paper covers rock. I win. The pack roared like I'd slain a dragon. The princess clapped her claws together, beaming with savage pride. The rival stumbled back, muttering in disbelief as warriors crowded him, whispering about the invisible weapon of the Alpha that could smother stone itself. By the time I explained scissors, they were convinced I had a blade sharper than light itself hidden in my fist. The rival tried again. He picked scissors. I picked rock. I crushed his hand in my fist. Rock smashes scissors. He yelped, staring at his empty palm like I'd just destroyed the soul inside it. The pack collapsed into a frenzy, chanting Alpha, Alpha, while I tried not to laugh myself into a hernia. Humanity's greatest secret wasn't technology. It was children's games. My legend grew, and with it, the princess's affection. She prowled closer, eyes gleaming, body language loud and unashamed. That night, she brought me another gift, a romantic pile of alien bones arranged into a heart shape. It was touching, in a serial killer Valentine kind of way. She sat beside me, tail curling around us, her voice low. "We are bonded. You are mine. The moons approve." I swallowed hard. My brain screamed at me to set boundaries. My mouth said, "Thanks. On Earth we usually start with flowers." Her ears twitched. The translator blurted, "The Alpha demands flower." Minutes later, warriors arrived with sacks of alien powder again, dumping them at my feet. She purred, proud of her interpretation, while I coughed through the dust cloud. The misunderstandings never stopped. When I stretched my arms, groaning about my aching back, she mimicked the motion, thinking it was some new ritual. Soon the whole pack was stretching, groaning in unison, like a wolf yoga class. When I said I needed space, she carved out a cave the size of a football field and declared it my private chamber. When I muttered, "Give me a break," warriors rushed to shatter actual sticks in front of me. Still, her devotion softened me. There was a strange sincerity under her feral intensity. When she leaned against me, warm and steady, I saw not just a predator, but a woman who believed in me completely. That was scarier than her claws. I wasn't used to being anyone's savior, let alone an entire species. And yet, here I was, fumbling jokes that became scripture, sneezes that became omens, children's games that became sacred duels. The pack's gossip didn't help my sanity. One wolf whispered that my yawns were the call of creation. Another claimed my hiccups summoned spirits. The princess herself declared my laugh was a battle cry that frightened enemies across galaxies. I tried to tell her I was just nervous, but she shushed me, pressing a clawed finger to my lips. "Do not diminish your power," the translator crooned. Then came the ultimate test. Another rival clan of wolves appeared at the border, demanding proof of my alpha strength. Tradition said I had to demonstrate power. The princess stood proudly at my side, ready to fight. The pack bowed, waiting for my command. I panicked. What did I have that counted as power? I pulled out my lighter. A cheap plastic thing, half empty. I flicked it, a tiny flame dancing to life. The aliens gasped, tails lashing, eyes wide with terror and awe. Fire was sacred to them, controlled only through massive rituals. I casually lit a twig, blew it out, and slipped the lighter back into my pocket. The rival clan fell to their knees instantly. The princess howled in triumph, pressing herself against me, declaring, "The Alpha carries fire in his hand. He is the eternal flame." The pack echoed her howl, bowing so low their foreheads dented the dirt. I stood there, clutching a $2 lighter, realizing I had just become the most powerful man on the planet. That night, the princess cornered me in the cave, eyes glowing in the dim light, voice low and husky. You carry flame. You carry power. You carry me. I tried to deflect with a joke, muttering, "Careful, you'll get burned." The translator turned it into, "The Alpha promises to set me ablaze with his passion." She growled approvingly, pressing closer, and the pack outside howled as if the moons themselves were celebrating. I laughed nervously, muttering, "I really should stop talking." But deep down, I knew the truth. I was in too deep to quit now. They believed in me, adored me, worshipped me. And the princess? She wasn't letting go. Not now, not ever. The scary part? I wasn't sure I wanted her to. Peace never lasts, not even when you're worshipped by a pack of alien werewolves who think your bodily functions are prophesies. Word spread. Other alien factions heard that a human had been crowned Alpha, bonded to the princess, commanding the loyalty of an entire pack. And of course, jealousy followed. One evening, as the red moons rose high, a delegation of reptilian ambassadors slithered into the valley. Cold eyes, sharper teeth, and an attitude that screamed bureaucracy with fangs. They demanded proof that humanity deserved this honor, otherwise they'd strip it away. The princess bristled beside me, ready to fight, but I held her back. My instincts said claws and teeth wouldn't win this battle. This was politics. Which meant bullshit. And if Earth had given me any gift worth wielding, it was the ability to bullshit with style. They demanded I explain how humans would rule wisely. I opened my mouth, panicked, and said the first thing that came to mind. "It's like pizza." The translator stuttered, then declared, "The Alpha speaks of the sacred wheel of unity." The pack gasped, the princess's ears perked, and even the reptiles froze, waiting. I swallowed, forging ahead. You take many ingredients, all different, sometimes clashing, cheese, sauce, pepperoni, and you bring them together on a single crust. Alone, they are weak. Together, they are delicious. The translator twisted it into prophecy. The Alpha teaches that strength comes when blood, flesh, and spirit are pressed together upon the circle of life, bound by the melted essence of harmony. The wolves howled as if I'd reinvented religion. The reptiles hissed uncertainly. The princess leaned against me with pride, whispering, "You feed the galaxy with wisdom and flesh." I nodded solemnly, praying no one asked me what anchovies were. The reptiles tried one last jab, asking what humans could possibly offer beyond words. I sighed and pulled out my phone. The battery was almost gone, but just enough. I played a video clip, cats knocking cups off tables. The wolves lost their collective minds. They saw the cats as tiny rival predators, ruthless in their dominance over glass and gravity. The princess growled reverently, "Even your lesser beasts are conquerors." The reptiles bowed their heads, defeated by memes. I'd just won an interstellar negotiation with pizza metaphors and cat videos. Humanity, baby. When the ambassadors left, the pack erupted into celebration. Fires roared, howls shook the moons, and the princess dragged me into the center of it all. Her voice rose above the din, declaring to all, "He is Alpha, he is flame, he is bond. He is mine." The wolves echoed her claim, bowing until the earth trembled. I stood there, sweaty, overwhelmed, and dangerously close to laughing myself sick. Because somehow, the universe had decided my dumb luck and sarcasm were enough to rewrite galactic hierarchy. Later, when the fires burned low, she pulled me aside. Alone, the feral leader looked almost shy. Her golden eyes softened, claws retracted, ears tilted forward in something close to vulnerability. "You speak of unity. You speak of love. Teach me." My throat tightened. I could have laughed it off, could have thrown another joke, but something about the way she watched me stripped away the act. She wasn't asking for dominance or submission. She was asking for connection. I thought about Earth, about all the stupid mistakes that defined us, our messy apartments, our half-finished projects, our arguments over pineapple on pizza. Humanity wasn't perfect. But maybe that was why we mattered. Because we loved anyway. So I told her. I spoke about love as choosing someone even when they were flawed, as sharing mornings filled with bad coffee and late nights filled with worse jokes, as holding each other when the world felt too heavy. The translator bent my words into something more primal, but she understood enough. Her hand brushed mine, tentative, careful with her strength. For once, she didn't demand, didn't claim. She just asked. I squeezed her hand, smiling. Yeah, we'll figure it out together. The howl she gave then wasn't like the first. It wasn't a claim. It wasn't a command. It was a psalm. Low, trembling, aching with joy. The pack bowed again, but this time it wasn't submission. It was reverence. For her. For me. For us. Under the twin red moons, surrounded by the echoes of her people, I realized I'd stumbled into something that wasn't just comedy anymore. It was history. Of course, I ruined the moment. Just so you know, I muttered, back on Earth, bowing like this usually means someone owes me rent. The translator boomed it as, the Alpha declares eternal debt. The pack howled with renewed fervor, swearing oaths to serve forever. The princess smirked, her tail curling possessively. They are yours. I am yours. The galaxy will kneel. I scratched my head, overwhelmed. Careful, princess. You keep this up, and I'm gonna start believing my own hype. She leaned in, lips near my ear, voice husky. Believe it, or I will make you believe. My knees nearly buckled, and I prayed the translator hadn't caught the panic in my voice when I squeaked, noted. As dawn broke, I sat outside the cave, staring at the alien sky. I was still a nobody in my own eyes, an unlucky astronaut who crashed where he didn't belong. But to them, I was Alpha. To her, I was chosen. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Behind me, the pack stirred, stretching and yawning, waiting for my next divine sneeze or fart. The princess curled up beside me, head on my shoulder, claws resting gently against my arm like a promise. I muttered, mostly to myself, guess humanity finally made first contact. And we did it the old-fashioned way, by pretending we knew what we were doing. She purred, the translator humming softly, you knew. You always knew. I chuckled, leaning back against her warmth. Sure, let's go with that. The red moons sank low, the pack howled, and somewhere deep in my gut, I knew I wasn't going home. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. The galaxy had given me a throne I never asked for, a people who believed in me, and a princess who would tear apart worlds before she let me go. And honestly, I could live with that.